The lore of Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice, is deeply interwoven with themes from real-world Buddhism, particularly Japanese-style Buddhism. Shugedo, which is rooted in ancient mountain worship, it emphasizes aestheticism, meditation, and rituals to achieve spiritual power and enlightenment, as well as elements of Shintoism, which is Japan's native belief system and predates all historical records. The word Shinto meaning way of the gods, and it is the oldest religion in Japan. Shinto's key concepts include things like purity, harmony, family, respect, and subordination of the individual before the group. At its heart, Sekiro is about overcoming death through resurrection, the cycle of suffering, samsara, detachment, and the cost of immortality. In Buddhism, samsara refers to the endless cycle of death and rebirth caused by desire, ignorance, and attachment. In Sekiro, this is mirrored through the resurrection mechanic that is gifted on him from his master Kuro, who is cursed with the dragon's heritage. Sekiro can return to life after dying, but this repeated resurrection causes dragon rot, a spreading disease that weakens the people around him. This embodies the karmic consequences typically found in Buddhism. Your grasping at life causes suffering in others. In Buddhist thought, actions, karma, generate consequences, and suffering, dukkha, is intrinsic to life bound by attachment. Sekiro's journey is full of karmic choices. The same choices are then given to people who seek power, like Genichiro, the monks of Senpo Temple, and even his own father, the great shinobi owl, who then suffered terrible fates. Two characters that approach this question of immortality are Kuro and the monks of Senpo Temple. Kuro eventually wishes to sever the ties of immortality, a symbolic rejection of samsara, and a step towards enlightenment. The purification ending, or perfect ending, is akin to attaining enlightenment, severing the dragon's heritage and ending the cycle of unnatural rebirth. Meanwhile, the Shura ending, where you choose power over peace and become a literal demon, rampaging across Japan, is the path of ego and violence, representing falling into darkness due to desire and attachment. One of the things I really appreciate about this game is the way that Kuro is characterized. Rather than an annoying kid, he's actually very mature and has an understanding of the situation that honestly is more rational than many of the adults. Characters like the monks of Sempo Temple and Mount Congo sect are heavily inspired by Sungendo monks. They try to attain transcendence through harsh practices, but many fall into corruption because they chase power instead of purity. The aberrations at Sempo Temple, where monks are turned into centipede-infected monsters that will allow a type of immortality, literally involving submitting yourself to possession. Instead of accepting death and transcending ego, the monks fixate on physical immortality, betraying Buddhist detachment and desperately clinging on to life, like a major cause of suffering, which is mentioned in Buddhism. They even kidnap and experiment on children to create a divine child, mirroring twisted notions of creating a perfect vessel or enlightened being. In Buddhism, the idea of a perfect vessel usually refers to the ideal mental attitude and conditions for receiving and understanding the Dharma, the Buddhist teachings. It comes from a metaphor used in traditional Buddhist texts to describe the qualities a student should have in order to learn effectively and progress on path. However, in the context of Sekiro, this means going ahead with the monk's twisted form of Buddhism. The worst part of it is that despite their practices, the monks become hollow, mindless, or monstrous, indicating spiritual decay rather than enlightenment. This is one of the many ways that Sekiro takes real life practices of the Buddhist religion but turns it into a form of body horror. The Divine Dragon is one of the game's highlights and the source of immortality that all of the characters have been fighting over. In the lore, it is from the West, Reedlands, meaning not native to Japan. This could reflect historical Buddhist ideas of right dharma versus corrupted practice. Not everything that claims to be sacred is beneficial, and in Japanese history, foreign influences have often disrupted native spiritual balance, just like how the dragon's power destabilizes Ashina. In the perfect ending of the game, Sekiro travels to return the divine dragon to its original homeland in the West, which some have theorized is either Korea and China. Another piece of visual storytelling is when you arrive to fight the dragon. It's sick and rotting. Sekiro can be read as an allegory for Bodhisattva's journey, who in Buddhism is the Myanmar Buddhist path of a person who wants to attain enlightenment, not for themselves, but to help all beings awaken, which is motivated by deep compassion, bodhicitta. The Bodhisattva takes a vow to free others from suffering and practices the six perfections: generosity, ethics, patience, effort, meditation, and wisdom. Progressing through 10 stages of spiritual development, they cultivate an increasing insight and skill, ultimately reaching Buddhahood, but choosing to remain in the world to guide others towards liberation. Sekiro endures great pain to protect Kuro and help him sever immortality. He walks the path of compassion over self interest. In a way, Sekiro is renouncing the selfish drive to preserve life and instead accepts sacrifice, mortality, and letting go, which is core to Buddhist enlightenment. This argument could be further extrapolated to apply to the basic gameplay philosophy, completely devoid of story, even needing to be relevant. The gameplay of Sekiro requires you to die over and over again. It requires you to understand its mechanics, and it requires patience. It requires suffering. This is one of the many reasons why Fromsoftware, in my opinion, is the greatest, or at the very least, one of the greatest current game studios, because they're able to embody storytelling through the medium of video games that doesn't need it to become a movie or a show. Hi, everybody, and that's the video. Thanks for watching. Make sure to hit that like button, comment, and subscribe. It helps out. Sorry if the audio is shit, but I am recording this using the microphone on my laptop.